the second output of the same process is scope management. So this is the output number 2 of this process, plan scope management process. The scope management plan, again, is a management plan. So we know that it's also going to talk about the how part of how the scope will be defined, developed, monitored, controlled, and validated. One document is about the requirements management strategy. The other document is about the scope management strategy. Both documents are different for the reason that the processes later on for planning for both of the processes are going to be different as well. First, you gather your requirement because without requirement, there is no scope. Scope is created on top of requirements. So you need to have your requirements first based on the requirements management plan. And then you need to have your scope baseline based on the collected requirements. This is how it works. Like I said, process by process. Scope management plan talks about how the scope is going to be defined, validated, documented, baselined, and it's going to be first of all created. What's going to be the strategy of prioritizing and doing something and not doing something? That is all. That's the first conversation is scope management plan. So that is scope management plan, and very roughly, this is how the scope management plan looks like. By the way, these templates that PMI have provided for management plans, they're not really cool when it comes to the practical project management. If you are really interested in having a look on how the management plan should look like, you can refer my samples and templates folder, which is available on the G Drive. It has some good samples for project planning and project execution and some other stuff as well, like registers and business case charters, etc. That can be helpful for you to understand that how in the real world a management plan in different areas of the project should look like. Actually, there's a use case discussed in those management plans. If that's helpful, otherwise I can arrange more templates and formats as well. So some of them are templates only, like you can just refer that and you can come up with your own version for your project. And some of them are samples, like based on the use cases, the samples have been created for these different project architects. So that can be helpful if you are really interested in applying all of this in your projects. Now, scope management plan. So scope management plan talks about how the scope is going to be planned and managed and documented and validated. So you need to have a process for preparing the project scope statement, which is nothing but your defined scope process, which is the conversation for today. So you need to have a process and all the different inputs, tools, and techniques for the defined scope process documented in there. Then you need to have an understanding of how your WBS is going to be created. So which is nothing but your create WBS process. Like, again, all of this is how. So how the WBS is going to be created, who are the different people responsible, who are the different, who is the person accountable, what are the different sessions that you may need with the team and with the other stakeholders to create WBS, how the scope statement is going to be helpful to create WBS. I know nothing would be making sense to you now because we have not really discussed anything, but once we are done with the discussion, this will start making sense. And again, that WBS is not created in there. The scope statement is not created in there. How it is going to be created. There's a separate process for that, which is defined scope process. There's a separate process for creating WBS, which is create WBS process. Right. Again, based on the WBS, how the scope baseline will be created. This is also discussed in this scope management plan. So the different processes, their inputs, their tools and techniques, their responsible people, accountable people, all of that discussion along with the different formats, along with the different methodologies, strategies, all of that goes in the management plan. Similarly, once the project is in controlling phase of the controlling process or controlling phase of the project, how it is going to be validated. Now we know what is validation, right? So what is the validated scope process would look like? How the different deliverables of the scope are going to be accepted, how the acceptance criteria is going to be written, how the UATs are going to be done, and different other sessions for in maybe in some other projects it's the commissioning, maybe in some other projects it's like just the UAT session. So whatever applies to you, you need to have that mention in the tools and techniques part of your process in this management document. And of course, it's not decided alone by you. It's a team. Planning is also a team level effort. It's not a one person decision. Different stakeholders comes and into picture, and they have their own narrative for management planning. You may have a process discussion for control scope as well, which is nothing but how the scope creep is going to be avoided or how the uncontrolled scope is going to be taken care of. You need to have a process for that because predictive is all about that. So all of this, how is going to be with the necessary strategy and management planning in this document, and later on in the respective processes. These are the different respective processes. So these three are planning processes. These two are monitoring and control.